Hello, Miss Catu Mask, and we're here for a Warcraft 3 TGS Teen Girl Squad replay. Played yesterday, June 18th, 2022. So, as always, I'll pause this when we start and try to get us a little bit up to speed with the latest happenings of the map and the match in general before we get right into it. Alright, pause her up. POZZ, pause her up. Alright, so I didn't record any of the games from... Could have sworn there was 2 games. We got some T-pose here, actually. We had wisps moving on my side. We paused it, but these guys are actually in T-pose. That's kind of interesting. So, first and foremost, since then, Blizzard has released a new 200, 300 megabyte patch for Warcraft 3. They say, look, we're paying attention to Warcraft 3. We want to work on it. And they didn't so much as even mention the bug that has plagued the game for, a year, 2 years now? Where you can't invite people to a fucking lobby. The only way you can get into a lobby is have them on your friends list and right-click join. But that doesn't work after the first time. After that, after you've played your first game, you have to restart the client completely. Or make another game, and then right-click join the friends list from there. Invites just don't work. You don't see them. They were busted in a silent hotfix a long time ago, and Blizzard has never even so much as acknowledged this bug's existence, in spite of it being reported by literally everybody. Their patch changed some of the campaign maps where the difficulty settings didn't apply, because testing is for losers, and the almighty words of J. Double Chins Wilson. So here we are in the wonders and the splendors of Teen Girl Squad. It's like 7 a.m. and I don't even remember when I last took a piss, much less what happened a fucking week or 2 weeks ago. But there were some changes and adjustments to wards, and I don't remember what those were at this point. Creep camps did have an issue. The last game, okay, so like I can summarize the last game because I don't think I'm going to go back to cast it because it's coming to me now. So the last game that we played, which I believe is going to be the same version as this. I don't know if HKS did really any changes at all. HKS split up the upgrades. Remember how the last games I casted, the upgrades were all fucked and they would just disappear from the shops. Well, long story short is that Warcraft 3 is brilliantly programmed. The absolute best of Stack Exchange and GameDev.net united under the haze of cannabis and cheap wine to create this heaping pile of shit after using that 1997 engine from Blizzard North. And you ended up with all kinds of fucked undocumented behavior and unspecified behavior within this game. And upgrades and everything related are just a cesspool of stupidity. When HKS tried to simplify some of these shops by putting stuff together, apparently the whole system completely fell up its ass and things would just randomly disappear. An issue that will hit me in this map, although in a much less significant scale, because I'm actually going to pick Jaina. We'll talk about her in a little bit, though. And it's all over the place in the game, but with the upgrade systems in particular, HKS was running into countless issues, from how arrays are handled to just trying to move the upgrades around. So, yeah, that apparently switching it back has just fixed everything for reasons that are completely and entirely inexplicable. So the other problem that we had in last game, we were hordes. I don't remember the team specifically, but they weren't really too much different than the usual. Ricky and High Zealot and Q being on that side, I believe, and our side being myself, HKS, and maybe Thyloli, and maybe Bill. Oh, Bill, right. It might have just been 3v3 with Bill. Can't really remember. I don't know if Thyloli was with us last week or not. Well, last game week. It was really 2 weeks ago. But we had a little bit of a disadvantage early game. I don't really remember why. But we swung around from that and we fucking flattened them. We just steadily chiseled away their base and flattened them because they had kind of weak builds with very little kill threat. And I went with like wards, and I believe wards and maybe AoE or something, or maybe wards and some survivability. I don't remember specifics again. But we had them locked down in a base. We destroyed all their creep spawning buildings. It looked like to be a fairly quick and fast game. But then there was a little bit of an issue. So there have been a few games where we kind of enter this stalemate, right? So HKS added 2 upgrades to the shop. One is called a Depression Aura. It adds like a magic resist aura to the creeps from, I believe, I can't remember if it's Siege Tanks and Kodo Beasts. I don't remember what the Alliance equivalent is. But for Horde, it's Kodo Beasts. For the Alliance, it might be Siege Tanks or something like that. And it just reduces magical damage that they take. So it kind of, they're expensive upgrades, like 3,000. So that was a part of the suggestions I made way back. It was some more expensive end-game upgrades to get things going. But it did seem like the second upgrade, being the double siege damage upgrade for like demolishers and mortar teams and such, that didn't actually seem to do anything. But we picked up those upgrades. We couldn't destroy their main building because they had wards, they had wave clear, and High Zealot eventually, I can't remember if he was like playing Garathos or whatever it was. One of these, it might have been Garathos or maybe this, I think it was Garathos. And he was like a physical tank build. And for like the first half of the game, first quarter of the game, he really wasn't that big of an issue at all. But we flattened their base, but we didn't really quite have, because it was kind of early at that point in the game, we didn't really quite have the creeps or the items or whatever to completely seal the game. We got very close many times to destroying their castle, but they turtled up with towers and they had enough wave clear that we couldn't really keep our minions alive. And then we starved on gold because we were basically getting no income. Their minions were not giving us income because they had no minions to give us income. The only way to get income was the camps. The camps, especially given that we weren't very strong, like Bill was kind of like he was a caster, and I forget what HKS was. He might have been just like physical, like the Pit Lord with auras or some other mix. No, he might have been Gul'dan or something as a caster. Whatever the case was, we couldn't easily farm these creep camps very fast. Not initially, but eventually we were killing them regularly. But this is a problem. The Hydra might give you like, I don't know, 60, 70 gold, which is not really that much more than a footman. Or a priest, for example. And these have a fairly long respawn, and it takes kind of a long time and a lot of effort to kill them. Plus, you're outside the lane, your minions are just flooding into them and feeding them money. Eventually, High Zealot had a full inventory, and our most fed member had like one decent item, right? So then it got to the stage where once he started picking up items and becoming tanky enough to dive us, the wards and stuff couldn't do anything, and he could just dive and you would die. Like there was nothing you could do. Or it was often the case is that maybe I might survive, but I couldn't protect Bill. And of course, in that case, you can't push the castle with the minions either, because once you get close to the castle with the minions, you die. So we did eventually win that game, but it basically amounted to the game going on for like, I don't know, 2 to 3 hours until they basically like suicided. right? And it actually took several suicides for us to be able to fully push and win the match, because it was too hard to kill them with their fountain and the towers being right there. You know, all the towers they were building, all the money was being just converted into items. They basically a couple times tried to rebuild their structures, but mostly just diverted all that income into items. And we were just starved and stagnant, and we tried all kinds of different builds, you know, switching around the spells. But you had the problem as well, where because you had no gold, you couldn't buy lumber. So your spells were super under leveled. I went and got nuke spells like chain lightning and stuff like that, but I couldn't level them up. So as the enemy stats were increasing, because they were getting fed all this money and buying items and becoming tankier, I couldn't even level up my spells completely. So there... Yeah, it was a dumb game. And we took the Demolisher upgrade for the catapults, and it didn't even seem to have any effect. So, we had a level advantage, I believe, early on, which was from the HKS had deduced it was from the creep camps that gave more experience. So I don't know if that was changed for this version. But I don't think he did too much work on this, because we were kind of split between working on... like I was doing D&D evidently, but I don't know, he was kind of like mixed all over the place, I guess. Like I had him sorting through a bunch of audio, you know, in the last couple of days to send me for Unreal stuff. So this game, so we have a 4 versus 4 this time. On the left side is Q, Doug Boy 42, a Frenchman, and myself. So I wanted to play Alliance this time, in part so that I could get the opposing side of the fence as well and kind of experience that. And second of all, just to kind of like change up the teams a little bit too, because I knew HKS is probably going to stick to Horde. So HKS is with Thigh Loli, High Zealot, and Zilla. So Zilla the Weed Lord was with us. And so let me think briefly about the builds. So Q is going to go Black Arrow, and that's all I know about his build is Black Arrow. He does some diving in this. I don't think he takes mirror image or anything like he normally does. So he does something a little different this time with Black Arrow. So I remember him getting him some kills with this. So he must, I don't know if he picks a bunch of passives or what. Zilla is going to take a Pit Lord and is going to go Mana Shield with Shockwave and Blink. HKS is going to go Summons. So we saw birds and shit before we're going to see them again. They're actually going to be kind of annoying early on in the game. And I will mention that the bird having like 1,000 health early on in the game is annoying for reasons going to become very obvious. So I haven't been on the receiving end of it. I've watched it a little bit. I used the bird a little bit, but I never aggressively upgraded it. I have no idea how hard it is actually to deal with early in the game. You're going to see that in this. We have Thigh Loli, who's going to go Gul'dan. He's going to pick up Frost Nova, Storm Bolts, Wards, and I don't remember what else. But that's really the important part. High Zealot is going to go kind of support. He's going to take Sylvanas. He's going to take Auras. He's going to take Healing. So a little different kind of play from him in this. Ricky's going to do very, very typical Shockwave, Carrion Swarm, eventually Mana Shield, which we'll talk about later. Doug Boy 42 is going to go like a melee Illidan builds. Even taking Immolation early on, but quickly abandoning it. With Berserk. I don't think he knows where to get the high-end items in this, but I'm not sure what his gold income was like anyways. And I am going to go... Actually, I'm going to take Frost Nova in this game. Because I remember HKS telling me it was high damage. And I'm going to take Frost Nova, and I'm going to go Jaina. And we'll talk about that in just a moment, because it's really funny. But I will take a low-level Brilliance Aura, and then I won't level it until the very end of the game. And I will take, eventually, Mass Teleport, Healing Wave, which I also won't level until the end of the game. And eventually Carrion Swarm. So my build is kind of offensive oriented, with more offensive oriented towards later on, because I don't really level Carrion Swarm until later on. I will also take Chain Dispel, which is specifically for HKS, which we'll encounter. So I wasn't aware that Chain Dispel would actually help, because Chain Dispel doesn't denote that it deals any damage to summons. So I had assumed when I first looked at it, it wouldn't deal damage to summons. And then I started having a lot of problems, and eventually I'm just going to be like, fuck it, we're going to give it a try. So Chain Dispel is one of those special abilities. So we'll talk a little bit about Jaina now as we start this up. So Jaina, we talked a little bit about those innate abilities that the heroes have. I had forgot about this at the time, but I quickly realized Jaina was the hero that HKS mentioned that she has a spell book. That spell book has Frost Nova, Carrion Swarm, Dispel Magic, and I forget what the other one was, to be honest. I don't think I ever used it. But the Dispel Magic, Frost Nova, and Carrion Swarm, I all make some mileage out of. HKS will stay in the game that they do not scale with intelligence damage, like the other spells currently do. They also evidently don't level up with you, so they're not really that great. But at low level, they are very stupid, because they do not cost that much mana, especially for, you know, being an anti-hero at this stage in the game. So once I realized how oppressive this can be, it quickly reaches a point where High Zealot has literally no chance of doing fucking anything. And I'm like flailing because you have to like flip through a second menu, and I'm not used to that hotkey. But once I just perform just very rudimentary stuff, High Zealot absolutely doesn't expect that, because you're basically bypassing the cooldown on Frost Nova, and you have a second nuke on top of it. So at that specific point in the game, it is absurdly powerful, and then it'll quickly be at the point of uselessness where it's not even worth hitting the hotkey to go to that menu, because you do such little damage with those spells. I think they're weaker than their level 1 versions. I don't know what the hell. Ricky is so French. No! So, Doug Boy eventually joins me down here. I went back to spend that lumber, I think. I can't remember if I actually had enough to buy an ability or not. I think I may have just poured it out just to be safe, because I was behind the towers at that point. So I'm trying to cycle them a little bit right now, trying to make the most out of them, but the level 1 Carrion Swarm or whatever it is you have in there is really garbage. But the double Frost Nova is really nice just for slowing shit. So you burn through your mana actually quite fast. This is probably the only way you can really burn out your mana this fast this stage in the game. High Zealot burning Chain Death Coil. Oh yes, Chain Death Coil and Chain Holy Light. So yeah, those are chewing his mana pretty quick too. So he'll be quite healthy until I get some shit. So they got 2 in the middle over here, and Ishkis is going to come down bottom to help High Zealot. And things are going to get kind of stupid, because he's going to go straight for the bird. Steak must have inspired him with the bird tactics, because that's pretty much what's going to happen right here. So Doug Boy will, in general, perform better in this game than he did in the previous ones. He has more of an idea of what to do. So HKS is going to go Feral Spirit and the Bird, and you can see their damage is actually high, particularly with High Zealot helping. So I'm gonna get out of there right now. Doug Boy does nothing. He has Immolate, which in theory would be useful because you're doing damage to the summons, but HKS will effectively never run out of mana and will just keep re-summoning them. And what's actually going to happen when I realize I have Dispel is that early on, where the Dispel is doing about, I believe, 200 damage, The Dispel gives me a good edge against the dogs in particular. So there's Healing Wave and Brilliance Aura to level 2. That'll probably be the same level 2 we see until very close to the end of the game. So the bird has 600 health at this. I don't know what level it is, but it's double that of the dogs in the moment and does more damage. I mean, you get 2 dogs out of it, so in terms of HP budget per spell, they're really roughly the same, with the exception that the bird flies and is ranged. So again, I've already reached the stage where those low-level spells aren't really that good, except for the Dispel Magic. So long as his stuff remains low-level, the Dispel Magic will be nice, particularly against the dogs, where it'll take them low enough that Frost Nova will get rid of them. But it's actually not really mana efficient. At this stage, I've noticed that the Frost Nova in the spellbook has disappeared. So the summons no longer give any experience, I believe, and certainly no gold anymore. So burning mana to dispel them has not as much of a return as it normally does. You can tell that Carrion Swarm is awful. At this stage, it offers me virtually nothing, other than burning my mana, really. It's better just to save for Frost Nova, but... So... We're not really in a lot of danger at the moment, but you will notice that HKS is just at full mana. He was saying that the summons definitely do not use enough mana, but they also do have kind of a long cooldown, so no, he casted them and his mana hardly even moved. Doug Boy is gonna go in there. It's his thing, but I don't really have the mana, so I'm gonna try to support him. He does have Shadow Strike, but HKS is able to escape. Meanwhile, the bird is just shooting him, and he's not really giving the bird the respect it deserves, because the bird is most certainly an element of terror. At this stage, I've already got no mana, and I can't really do too much about these except try to auto them down. Now, Jaina's auto does do more damage because she's a straight int hero as opposed to being a mixed stat like the others where they're getting more strength, but it also means I am squishier. So Ricky is going for a Carrion Swarm. Q is going to take Cleaving Attack. Okay, that's what I remember him taking. Right now, I'm mostly killing the dogs just to try to stop the wave from pushing too hard. But you get that Carrion Swarm did like 20 damage to the Kodo Beast, not even. So it's pretty terrible. That Carrion Swarm is really bad. So he ran in there, and I think he tried to turn on whatever it was, and then just gave up. At this stage, I've got a bird on me, and there's no point trying to fight it. It's got as much health as I do. So I just promptly leave, leaving Doug Boy to his fate. HKS is rarely looking too healthy, but so long as High Zealot is there, actually killing him at this stage is kind of hard, and I finally level up Frost Nova to level 3. So Ricky is definitely ahead of me. Ah! Q and Thyloli are exchanging creep score over here. The Thyloli appears to be investing in a Servant Words early. We weren't entirely sure if splash damage had actually been removed entirely from those, but it should be now. So this stage, HKS should make quite an easy kill. Frost Nova's cooldown is lower than a lot of the other major spells in the game. And it does seem to have a fairly high range on it. Plus the slow effect, it gets me some early kills here. Now, getting creep score with it's a lot harder. I felt like I really struggled for creep score with that. I'm using it early, a fair amount, but it becomes evident that the Carrion Swarm is worthless at this point. I mean, it's arguable if that Carrion Swarm is ever really worth it. It was a double Frost Nova and the Perma Slow that really gives your level 1 that killing strength. There will often be times that I'll throw it out just to kind of scare them. They might think that I've leveled it, but it's really actually harmless. And I don't really entertain the prospect that it can actually kill High Zealot through his sustain right now, but it is possible that his sustain's more expensive than my nuke at the moment. Not enough to make a difference. Meanwhile, yeah, I was watching him stand there and take the tower and die. I figured he'd just like decide to have a nap or something. So HKS has leveled his units. The bird now has nearly 1,000 health, which is coupled with a 72 high-end damage. And the dogs, I believe, actually have mana drain at this point. Meanwhile, top lane is getting pushed quite a bit by Ricky. Zilla can't really do anything to him at this point. And mid lane is just about even, I guess. Well, Daloli's managed to take one tower and one of his towers is on fire, so. I went back and leveled Frost Nova to level 5. And Ricky's got Carrion Swarm at level 5. So we got a lot of wave clear on our side. And they've got kind of like a mix of just stuff. I would say at the moment their side definitely has the advantage. Because although we have a lot of front-loaded spell damage, only Q is really tanky-ish. And they have more sustain overall, so, and they're beefier. As they're a mix of strength, or int heroes with strength, higher than normal strength scaling. We have 2 squishies. So the bird's gonna start attacking. Keeping in mind that no armor means the bird actually is gonna do quite a bit of damage. I can sustain it, but it is kind of expensive actually to keep up with a push. Meanwhile, HKS will pretty much never run out of mana. I try to keep Doug Boy alive, but I don't really want to invest all my level ups into healing wave. So I am poking with Frost Nova, but I'm noticing that at this level, it's not giving me the damage spike I really was expecting out of it. I thought that since I had just jumped to level 5, I would be able to push back a little bit harder than I was. But in reality, I wasn't. I wasn't doing hardly any damage at all. It's not like his health really went up that much. It's more like at this level, Frost Nova just really wasn't that threatening. HKS is going to struggle a little bit with controls here. And I'm going to get very greedy as a result. I don't have any mana. So here's something that should not really be possible. Is if you take the bird on Alliance, you won't have to deal with that. The bats might suicide the bird, but they won't. I think it'll take several bats to kill it. But the Alliance Dragonhawk Riders can just instantly net it. And, I mean, it does some damage and stunts it for like 30 years. And that's just going to get worse as the game proceeds, because there'll be more Dragonhawks. So, yeah, they shouldn't be able to target those, I don't think. Really, any of the summoned animals should not be able to be targeted by the Dragonhawks. I'm actually not sure if you can do that, though, without making them spell immune or something stupid like that. Maybe making them an ancient or something. So I will poke High Zealot here, but he hasn't leveled Shadow Strike, so our damage doesn't stick. HKS has leveled Feral Spirits, and they do have Mana Drain now. And I am pretty much instantly killed. And then the bird is netted. He will go back in, even though it's really obvious that he shouldn't. So, I underestimated the I didn't realize at the time that the dogs have mana burn, which greatly contributes to their damage along with critical strike. So that plus High Zealot spells did more damage than I expected. Plus, I was still kind of used to playing one of those heroes with strength on them, like our command. So, or just a strength hero running spells in general. So I wasn't really accustomed to having 0 armor and slightly lower than normal health. Not that the 1 armor really helps much. So this is the stage I take Carrion Swarm, but it will remain under-leveled for a lot of the game because I won't spend money on lumber for a very long time until towards the end. Because I will want to take early items to be tankier for reasons like just shown. Although I'm pulling the Ricky early on because I knew that if we started losing the push against this, we probably wouldn't come back from it. But the biggest issue is that my creep score is not doing very well at all. So that's another reason why I took Carrion Swarm, even though I hadn't originally planned to. It was to try to get creep score rolling. So those dogs do actually have invisibility there. You can't see them until they're hitting you. So they would like run up and just sap my mana. They do a lot of damage. There's like nothing I can do at this point, actually. I'm running through my base, and the towers and shit can't do anything about the fucking bird or the dogs. I don't know what level the bird was, but I don't think it leveled up as much as the dogs did at that point. But man, the damage was really high coming out of that. Meanwhile, Ricky and Zilla died. So, Doug Boy is even more fucked than I am, because of course he's melee and took Shadow Strike and Immolate. I really didn't want to enter the Ricky-ism of being unable to do anything because this fucking bird kills me every time I enter land. So, I am going to try to consciously avoid fighting HKS. I think I'll chase him down a couple times. But if I can, after this point, I think I'm going to get really greedy initially. But it turns out their sustain is more than I really expected. Oh yeah, what's going to happen is the dog's mana burn. So I did kill HKS, but I didn't realize the dogs were mana burning me, and I kind of wanted High Zealot. And I went to heal, but it turns out all the mana had already gone, and I couldn't heal anymore. So yeah, High Zealot had already taken off. It was really just the dogs that killed me. At that point, I was like, yeah, if they have mana burn, it's not worth diving them anymore. I figured they would do some damage, but I was going to heal through it. And then I might have been like looking just to kill the dogs and disengage, but... Oh yeah, so this is common. Dragonhawk Riders really hate turtles in this map. So, the Urdle can't do anything. They can't kill it, but they can sure tickle it. So Q did take cleaving attack. He does have... We're pretty competitive in creep score except for Doug Boy. Whereas the bottom lane, it's Thyloli actually at the top, and in part due to the wards, just auto farming for him. But it's actually really surprising to see HKS competitive with that. So, I decided I was going to, lol, earthquake. I was I really wanted Ricky. Ricky wants it too. I decided I was going to try a split push away from them, at least until they came into our base. So, meanwhile, he died to minions. There wasn't anyone over there. Besides Q, who's on his team. Hyzella was all the way over there and the minions got him. Meanwhile, HKS died. HKS said he really struggled controlling the minions because he wasn't used to playing like that, so... I don't know if that's what happened there or if he just fell asleep or something. I found creep scoring with this build really hard, but I won't actually really level Carrion Swarm too aggressively, as I will max out Frost Nova fairly soon, and then if it take a Chain Dispel after thinking about it, and I was like, I'm going to try this out. I think it's after they start pushing our base. And then I'll also take Mass Teleport, originally with the intent of split pushing, but I don't do too much split pushing in this. It's more like I use it to jump to lanes at half health, sometimes with disastrous consequences. Alright, so I took Mass Teleport actually earlier than I had expected. I actually don't have boots. I was going to buy boots and then I forgot. And I was on man sitting there. I think I wanted to check the shops and see how expensive stuff was. I was also curious how hard it was to clear this stuff. Well, clearing these guys wasn't too big of an issue now that I had Carrion Swarm. But you run out of mana actually. Because I never leveled Brilliance Aura, right? So I was actually kind of hoping to get a mask or something at that stage. Otherwise, the map is actually pretty quiet right now. There's not really too much going on except for Zilla just smoking some crabs. Once I started to struggle with the mana, it was no, kinda not really too bad. I mean, really had to spam a lot, but it made me wish I had a more useful innate ability at this point. Where the 200 damage Dispel just wasn't really relevant anymore. And the other spells don't do enough damage, and Frost Nova wouldn't even return to the spell book for some time anyways. In case you really wanted to do 50 damage at some point for the then exorbitant mana cost for return. So, mysteriously at this point in the game, Hyzella actually took Charm. That was the thing I forgot to mention. But he can't do anything about Q apparently. Q doesn't actually have any items on him. Oh yeah, he took Death Pact. He's Death Pacting his minions for some sustain. So, early on, killing the Hydras and stuff like that really isn't worth it unless you can get the Blast Staff off of them. And for this reason, right? Like, it takes a long time to clear this. And yeah, 92 gold, it's not bad, standalone. But then you consider for like a tiny fraction of the cost, you can get hundreds of gold clearing some of these waves. Like 2 spells to net you like, what, 120, 130 off of those Demolishers there. So early on in the game, this is fine, right? Because there's definitely faster ways to clear this. But later on in the game, if you can't get minion kills either because you pushed them too hard, then the Hydras aren't really keeping up, especially when the enemy is feeding off of your minion waves. So there was a few ideas we were tossing back and forth about that Like if you destroy all the enemy structures in a wave, so long as they have no enemy structures, you spawn the enhanced minions. The upgraded versions that Mucky added a while ago. Which, yeah, they tend to get blown up at AoE too, but at least they're a little more tankier and, you know, do more damage. And of course, if anybody jumps me while I'm doing this, I'm just fucking dead. I was debating if I wanted to keep this, and I was like, no, I really want the mask. And I believe I'm just going to sell that and buy a mask. So, Doug Boy died in the same spot. Apparently do an empty wave for the second time. Unless it was the bird that assassinated him. So the dog damage doesn't seem to be that high, I guess. But man, I'm not sure if they're sapping only a small amount of mana. We need to see them hit something with high mana. All right, 10. All right, not that much. I mean, when you got 2 of them on you, sure, but it's not a huge mana burn anyways. It is when you don't have a high pool of mana, right? Because your mana pool in this is fixed. So you absolutely have to be mindful of that. It's easy to miss when the graphic is practically invisible. You're listening for the sound, really, and it's easy to lose it and miss everything else going on. So I jump back here. I'm missing health for some reason. I'm trying to heal, but again, I don't level healing wave. My lumber was very valuable at this point, and it is in demand by many things. Now, I don't know if I've chained the spell yet, but eventually I will get it. And it's going to be practically impossible to see because it's the life drain projectile, the little green wave thing. It is virtually invisible to see unless you know what you're looking for. And once it enters the enemy's minion wave, you really don't know. So, Thyloli is level 14, and he's got like 500 fucking health on me, so yeah, that's the difference in the sustainability of our groups. He took anime. No, it was Zilla who took anime dead. Meanwhile, Ricky like ran forward on his own, missing health, and just killed himself. These are the people I was entrusting with the future. I was like, well, Ricky's French. Oh yeah, the Word was attacking him, and he was actually on vent with us, Ricky was, and Q. I was telling Ricky to mind the Word was attacking him. And he just charged forward. So Ricky still has a substantial lead in creep score, particularly because my Carrion Swarm isn't exactly securing any kills at the moment, but what's hilarious is that I'm tied with HKS for hero kills. And HKS's creep score is actually not doing too bad compared to Ricky anyways. I think Ricky will be ahead of me on creep score all the way up until we hit around 250-ish. And then I will start to climb ahead, because that's about the point I really start leveling stuff up. So if you really wanted to secure farm in this, Frost Nova is not the best way to do it. Meanwhile, Zilla can't escape because of the various slow. But man, he's trying. I like that. Oh yeah, the Spirit Scepter hasn't been removed yet. It doesn't do anything because you have the teleportability as innate now. And he does have blink, so he escapes. It does give him movement speed though, so the movement speed is nice for him. I don't have the movement speed yet, I don't think. Yeah, no, I will buy it eventually. I'll buy boots. So the game's kind of slowed down a little bit. We don't have anything nuclear going on, but we are pushing bottom. The boners are level 9. Maybe worth noting is that only the boners really seem to tell you what level they are or what level the spell is. I don't think any of the other ones actually do that. When maybe they should, right? Because like I don't even know what level the birds were. So while we were fighting the base, I definitely felt that like Frost Nova wasn't really that great for this situation. It wasn't offering me the wave clearing ability that like Flame Strike or Carrion Swarm normally would, which is good, right? Because I think it is a higher range ability, and it is point and click, so it overall felt fairly balanced in that regard. At the same time, though, I felt like I probably could have gotten better mileage out of Chain Lightning. Chain Lightning has been my go-to when I don't take Carrion Swarm, but early in the game, the slow is really nice. Late in the game, it has its uses, but I actually will take an orb at some point to try to slow, and it really, I think there's maybe one kill I get off of it. At this stage, I noticed that High Zealot is mind controlling random shit. He's got some knights and a bird. He's also stealing boners. So yeah, I don't have any kill threat on that right now. It is becoming more and more clear that anybody they're like hobos huddling around a campfire. So this campfire is burned out. I've got no healing for them. It's just a little love tap at most. So I'm gonna go in the middle to try to kill Thigh Loli here. Now keeping in mind Thigh Loli is a little tankier than I am, and the Alliance ends up killing him, so. Missed out on the lumber. Lumber is what I wanted. Meanwhile, the bird is fucking huge. HKS never picked up boots, but he's got 2 aura items. So, they're actually ahead on creep upgrades right now as far as the stat upgrades are concerned. The spawns are probably similar because I believe at this point I'm not pooling Ricky too much. I will eventually pool Ricky a little bit. I acquired the boots I mentioned. There'll be one point I give Ricky about 5,000 golds. I think it'll be after I start buying major items though. And it'll be fairly late in the game, I think. There won't be too much more pooling from me other than that at this point. I was effectively thinking, well, I'll just push up my creep score, and if we start losing really hard, obviously the minions. It kind of felt like we were losing early on with minions. Then I would start pooling him, but I figured it probably wasn't really necessary at this stage in the game. So there's Chain Dispel. That's what it looks like right there, little green thing. And remove some of their shit. So we did manage to kill him. Three cats, :P. And they're actually separating though. HKS wants to go over to the shop, and High Zealot is preserving his ancient army. They were fighting Q down here for the Hydras. And I cautiously followed them into here because I knew that I definitely didn't want to fight HKS up close, but High Zealot had some minions I could possibly get some money off of, which I did.
Disconnected from server.
And there goes Vent for reasons inexplicable. Hold on here. Hold on. Can I pause? There we go. When I got minimized, the game is overlaid by my taskbar because, well, Windows is very smart. So then all the summons started appearing. Remember, the dogs are invisible a lot of the time. It's really hard to target them. And I take like a lot of damage right away, and I'm like, holy fuck. This shit really hurts. You've been logged out of Battlenet. Great, I'm in a replay. Who gives a fuck, dude? I shouldn't be logged into Battlenet to begin with, man. There's no reason I should be online at this point. So, at this stage, Chain Dispel evidently does do damage against summons. It's like, well, it's not an amazing amount, but coupled with the other AoE, it's nice. Of course, this bird just does fucking insane amounts of damage. And my heal is terrible. But I have Chain Dispel, so I figure as long as I be mindful of when he casts and heal a little bit, I'll be probably okay. So I don't know if I can bounce back and forth hitting the thing at once. It almost looked like it might have been able to do that, but I don't really think so. Because it has 7 bounces. Well, now the internet reconnected. My internet's very flaky. It's very Canadian. There's a little bit of a rain outside, like 1 millimeter at the most. That's the most that my internet can handle. It just sets on fire instantly. So I didn't really want to push too hard because of the bird, but Ricky wanted to push very hard. Of course, I have no mana at this stage. HKS does die. Ricky gets both of the kills, but the kills we did get. There is a bird. The bird died. So Zilla is, I really honestly wasn't even sure. Like, I often forgot Zilla was even in the game most of the time because he had very, very little map presence. Doug Boy is maybe even less significant in the grand scheme though, because he's got 18 CS almost 40 minutes into the game, which is significantly less than High Zealot, who's been mostly auras and charming right now. In general, the creep score on the enemy team is kind of frozen a lot, whereas Ricky has increased a lot, and mine isn't really increasing that much at the moment. In part because of that long foray into the Hydras, which I don't think really counts for that. And if it does, it's not very much. So Ricky definitely gets an early lead on me. But that will slowly change as I will become more aggressive in farming the lands. Particularly once I upgrade Carry and Swarm a little bit more. Meanwhile, because Thigh Loli will take Stormbolt, and I'll often run around with little health and not upgrade Healing Wave, he will actually be dangerous because he has much more health than I do. And I only got the 2 spells that deal damage, so it turns out he has the Tornado, which was extremely unexpected. So Doug Boy has appeared, helps secure a kill. He's been trying to flesh out his inventory, you can see. Just grabbing whatever. I think eventually he'll actually get a God Orb, but I'm not sure how he even affords it. But he does build trees. I believe actually both Doug Boy and Thigh Loli will actually stay here for the entire duration of the game, which was also unusual, and in part because it was earlier in the day. So when the minions respawned, I forget why I was going there. I think I was gonna check the cost of something, but when the minions repopped, I was just like, nah, I'll leave. So we finally see some upgrades. I had an amount of lumber, and I don't know if I spent gold on it or what happened there. I just had a lot. I think I very well may have spent gold on it at that point. I honestly don't remember. So yeah, like half the enemy team's gonna take Infernal. HKS does very possibly high Zealot, I don't remember. I'm not sure, he maybe can't because of Charm. But I know Zealot will too. HKS will struggle to land Infernal on me. Apparently Ricky, however, makes an easier target. So I'm already missing half my health. But I did some damage to the summons. So I have boots and HKS doesn't. But I'm definitely a lot squishier. So see that Q's gotten a barrel head already. There was a shaman behind me for reasons inexplicable. No idea how he got there. There goes Mass Dispel. It apparently does fairly reasonable damage. It should say it does damage though. HKS got pretty far forward and died miserably. A Frenchman sprouted out of his remains. They're gonna chase him and they're all gonna get stunned. Oh yeah, at this stage I have the orb. The Infernal, he unlearned Berserk. I thought he kept Berserk. Oh, there. What a goofball. His War Stomp usage will be slightly autistic too. Oh, the crabs. Oh, it's a massacre. Yeah, Frost Nova, when coupled with someone else who can chase and cast spells, it becomes significantly stronger than just if you're using it. Normally he would have gotten away for sure. And just gives like ramp and just instantly died. Of course the bird goes straight to Ricky. I mean, why not? And then it gets netted. I was gonna try to kill Ricky if the bird looked like it was gonna finish him off. But it got netted. Q's gonna run away. He does have some boners. At this stage I realize, hey, Zilla's in the game. Zilla makes a hasty escape. Still some gold. I realized, Zilla's kind of fat, huh? Can't really chase him inside the base or either. Apparently Ricky took Forked Lightning. I'm gonna travel down here, and I think I'm gonna die here. Oh yeah, there was earthquake. I'm already missing health because of the ward. And he just murdered me. That was my turn to not pay attention. I knew there was a ward there, but I forgot that he also had a nuke spell. Because I was gonna like poke him and run away and then poke him again after healing, but that only really helps if your healing actually heals you. Q almost died as well, actually. The wards aren't max, but they are higher level. So, since you removed their damage to buildings, they're kind of in an awkward spot. I would like to see them have some kind of effectiveness, you know. They are channeled abilities and using them is really difficult, but certainly they were very abusive before. Maybe more as wave clearing abilities or whatever. Something that does damage to units in general. Nothing really major against buildings, I don't know.
I can help.
You know, when I think of abilities in this, if I think of like team fighting abilities, they're not gonna be very attractive because there really isn't like a team fighting meta or anything in here. It's just people just incidental, right? And this is definitely something where I think you really have to design it around the players that you're working with and not some hypothetical situation. It sort of goes against the balancing methodology I would employ anywhere else. But of course, it's similar like D&D, right? You gotta design it for your players and the group you're playing with, your tables, so to speak. It's either too cold in here or it's too hot in here. There's no fucking winning. Just gonna clear down here. Q stealing most of the coins. The map is actually quite balanced at the moment. Nobody's really... We've pushed into their base. And if we did another push, we probably would deal fairly major damage. But I'm being kind of passive about it, focusing more on items. Because I don't really want to like die and give them a chance of really coming back. Q's going to buy a God Orb from that, which is another 4K. So I guess Q is doing pretty good on items because I don't think he pooled too much early on. I didn't ever check his inventory in the game, so... Loli died, presumably to a Frenchman down there. Every game we see him do the same thing. Cycling random ultimates. Never really sticking to an idea. Just trying random shit. Meanwhile, HKS never bought boots. And High Zealot never bought boots. Ricky bought boots. Honestly, don't know if there is a difference between those boots and the boots I've got. There's two different boots in the game, right? I don't know if there's any actual difference between them or not. So looks like at this stage I might be looking to buy my first axe, actually. So I've got close to 7,000 gold. Ricky spends some money. I contemplated pulling Ricky, but we're not doing too bad. I want to get a little tanky so I can stand and fight people like Thyaloli and not get screwed if I jump in with less health. But I am a straight-in hero, so I'm kind of working up from scratch on that one. Level 20, and I'm definitely quite squishy. Takes a little while to chisel the hydras down, but now that Frost Nova is leveled, the damage on it is much better. Doug Boy got stepped on pretty much instantly by the group of three here. Now we got Resurrect. Little mix of everything, I guess. So I'm definitely not using mass teleport too much right now, other than convenience for getting around the map, jumping up to the top lane when I really wanted to, or clearing a wave that goes into our base. I wasn't being really aggressive about using it to split at the moment. So I did pick up a blast staff. I will think I'll hang on to it for a while. The Hydras were dropping items now. Previously, the other issue with that game I mentioned before where we were stuck in that stalemate where we couldn't make any money is when we cleared these camps, they didn't drop any items. No coins, no blast staffs, nothing. Like, you couldn't get anything off of them to even sell it. So it made progression even harder for us. So I had to run AFK because my grandmother can't do anything on her own. And I wasn't really gone for too long, but somehow the entire map falls apart in that time. First of all, we've got infernals and shit down here. Q appears. Doug Boy is here. They're gonna charge that Loli. And then Q gets stuck and dies, and he dies. Ricky runs down to save them. We bet Ricky dies too. And Ricky runs into the middle of all of the minions. And okay. So I remember coming back and sitting down and looking at the screen up there, and I see the 3 timers. And I was a little disgusted by that. I was like, dude, I wasn't gone for that long. So I do have the balanced axe. After all, balanced by axe. You have to have the balanced axe to be balanced. Kind of work my way down here because I'm not sitting on a monstrous amount, but I know his Q was there, so we just charged ahead and kind of erased HKS. I really got the axe just mostly just for dueling. I don't make as much use of it in CSing as I definitely could. But I really wanted the armor and the strength and then the base damage. The mix of stats is what I was really after.
Our forces are under attack.
But I will eventually also pursue Int on top of it. For spell damage mostly. So I was behind on creep score, but like I'm really behind at this point. But I am gonna start picking up. And I was behind, but I didn't feel too bad about my income. Like, I didn't really feel like I was that far behind. Ricky would have definitely had a lot more money, but well, at this stage, when I get the axe, I start being a lot more confident about staying in the lane. I'm not as worried about getting nuked by birds or Thigh Loli or whatever. So I'll be a little bit more aggressive. So we're gonna have a big fight here. Zilla's gonna try to run away. Spells are being changed, but the fucking word kind of screws this up. Ricky gets really far ahead. People will always focus on Ricky because he's French. But we all have boots, right? So we just kind of run them down at that point. Zilla, of course, because he took the staff, gets away. And I think, yeah, High Zilla actually died in that, but I forget what killed him. Maybe Zilla or something. Ricky actually took a life drain here. So now I'm doing a little bit more split pushing. You know, on top lane, HKS has some birds. The birds do kind of a long cooldown on the summoning, but the other stuff not only costs basically no mana. I don't remember if it has a lot either. Also, Q is pretty fat right now, so HKS is gonna struggle a lot with control at this point. Obviously, he could be using his summons to fight Q and do a lot more damage to him, but he did struggle with it. Meanwhile, Q is gonna die to them anyways. So, Zilla, I don't really have a lot of kill potential on, but he does like to run up here when he's really low. Oh my god, he escapes with 7 HP. At that point, I left. Because I don't think I realized that HKS was dead at that point. And I wasn't sure if anyone was up here. When I could have pushed a little bit more aggressively. At least to kill the wave as it popped. But I may have had my eyes on the shop again, it looks like. That's when I see the Infernal over here killing Murlocs. I sent that over there not to attack them Infernal, but in case he had left a Murloc there with no health, I didn't have vision there, so I was just seeing if there was a Murloc there or not. So Doug Boy is kind of like creeping, just trying to get some money. He's really low on CS. He's up to 43 now, but you'll see that, you know, again, when Ricky hit 250, I started spiking up in creep score, and I am catching up to him. HKS still has the highest kills in the game. Just because the other people on his team are not getting kills. The rest of the kills is mostly the Horde. Q has appeared over here, possibly with the intent to buy something himself, possibly to steal my money. I'll just let him take the item that drops here, I think.
Our allies' town is under siege.
I figured it'd be more useful on him anyways if he wanted it. Yeah, so this stage I grab the Bong of Insight, and I'm gonna grab a second axe. So eventually I will replace the surgical mask with another Bong of Insight. And I think that will actually reduce my mana regeneration a little bit. But otherwise, my build's very strong now. As will be evident, I can basically stand there and fight. I finally got like 1800 health. If he was paying attention to those words a little bit, I could have died. But by the time he thinks to micro them, I've already moved away. I've still got money to spare after that. That money might actually go to Ricky at this point. Looks like High Zealot picked up Command Aura for his special. He's going to buy his own head barrel for a total of 2,000. And he might be thinking of another. HKS is saying people were pulling him and he didn't know what to do. So I finally level up Healing Wave at this point. I've got a lot higher health now. I pulled the Ricky. And
forces are under attack.
We're ready to start farming a little, well, a lot more aggressively, really. At this stage, I don't have too much to fear. I'm definitely the highest in the game in terms of the build. Although Ricky will actually start looking at the shop now, amazingly. And might buy some masks, I think. Yeah, that's what he does. I think he'll only buy mana regeneration, however. So, my mana regeneration is not too bad, but I can definitely burn through it quite quickly if I have to use the healing in particular. But at this stage, the spells I did have were alright. It was really multi-roll. I didn't want to get rid of Chain Lightning, because there was always the case where I'm going to get chased by these things. And the two abilities I did have didn't feel like enough. But I did feel a need to get like Blink or whatever to have more kill power on other players. But I will stick with Chain Dispel until the end. I managed to actually avoid that Infernal just incidentally. HKS actually has wards right now, but they're not very high level. They could have killed Dougboy for sure, though. He's pretty low. Well, he almost killed himself, to be fair. So, the enemy does have a Depression Aura, which I noticed pretty much right away that it was affecting my spell damage. It's not a huge amount. It might be like 30, 40, 50% or something. I don't think it's 50%. I think it's more like 20, 30, but it is definitely very noticeable. Not enough to overwhelm, but you know, it is a little slower for me to take out the minion wave. In part due to Frost Nova, but...
Our allies' town is under siege.
So there is more of them pushing into our base at this point. It could be a creep spawning thing. It could also just be because they apparently are just better at pushing, but none of these pushes are really threatening too much. Plus, it usually results in someone on their team dying. Generally either being HKS or Thyloli. HKS and Thyloli have the highest kills on their team, but a lot of the times, particularly at this stage in the game, it's at best ending in a trade. And Thyloli hasn't been ascending in kills at all at this stage, other than my clumsy suicide earlier on. Meanwhile, although Ricky is still ahead of me in CS, I am catching up. I am just better, I guess. I don't know, like you could tell just with the way the micro was right there. Ricky kind of like went back to AoE or something, but he didn't in the end. So whether it's intentional or not, I was just being much more proactive about spamming spells on minions when I was being there. Although Ricky has Shockwave, so he should be doing more. And I thought HKS was killing all the camps with Infernals, but it's actually been Dougboy at this point, who I think has been killed so many times in lane that he's terrified of going in lane anymore, which would explain why his CS hasn't really grown up that much. And he's just been out here killing camps, perhaps saving for a God Orb or something. Meanwhile, I think what's going to happen here is I'm actually going to sell my Frost Orb and buy a God Orb with it. Yep. Meanwhile, High Zealot takes Starfall, which I don't know what level it is, but seems moderately okay, I guess. I mean, it's a channeled spell, but we're not exactly using any CC on our team, so it's certainly useful, viable. HKS is Infernal, is level 2. Chain Dispel does not work on those since they're immune to spells. Will work on the others. There it is, I shot the dog. It did about, look like close to 600 damage on the dog. Maybe more like 500, 550. It's not terrible. You do need to use it with something else. Since they have static health, you're not going to get outscaled by them like you would a hero. I actually struggled a lot with controlling my hero in this game. There's many times I would, for some reason, lose my selection and be unable to find her, and I had a hard time clicking on her again. At this stage, I was still expecting to get nuked, so I was kind of like poking in and out. Plus Q is dying, so you tell the aura on the Kodo Beast is slowing down my ability to repel this wave. I've thrown a lot of AoE at them and it's not done a lot. Plus I am trying to poke them, get them low enough I can dive them while being mindful of the summons. When the summons come out, I know there's a window I can move in, but didn't want to move in into the wards while I had nothing behind me. For that reason as well. So I definitely took some damage there, but Q came back, we killed HKS. There's the range on Frost Nova I was talking about, it's quite high. I do throw axes now. Q actually has a pretty stacked inventory too. He's all beefy. I was wondering how he was doing so well. I didn't realize he was that far ahead in the inventory at this point. I don't think he's been pulling a lot, but you know, his creep score is not doing too bad, especially for cleaving attack and boners. And I'm just about caught up to Ricky at this point. And Q and I are actually tied on kills, which is funny. The Alliance have 4. You got Crown of the Death Lord. And he did actually get the cat paw, so he realized the shot was in the top left there. So his base damage not be amazingly high, but he's working up there. At this age, I think I'm looking to replace the surgical mask with another bong and get some more of that damage. I contemplated replacing the boots, but I didn't really want to. This will actually affect my mana restoration, or at least I will start spamming at a point where the mana will be a little prohibitive, and I will start realizing, oh yeah, I never leveled Brilliance Aura. I killed Thyloli and it turns out he actually had reincarnation. And then I lost him. It was hard to see him. Like trying to throw axes at him. There I got him. Ricky died up top and Doug Boy died up top. It was a massacre. HKS ascends to 13 kills. I try my best to keep up with him, but I can't. Ricky just feeding so much. And that's the penis that shatters the camel's back, and I head up into Weedland. fucking wards all over the place. The Thyloli is actually building towers inside their base, anticipating the onslaught of snakes and boners. Knows that one day it will come. Zilla never bought any mana regeneration items of any kind. So between Mana Shield and Shockwave, he never has any mana. Meanwhile, the Orc Warlocks burned all their mana, destroying the boners that Q has spent the entire game trying to build. The Loli appears to attempt to repel Q, but Q is so fast. I actually thought Q had no inventory. I never checked his inventory, but it turns out he just about has a full build of fat. Wanted to kill Loli, but there's no way I was gonna be able to chase him. That's why I contemplated taking Blink, but I felt it opened up too much potential death to birds. I was cucked by birds in this. I was terrified of them. They're down here creeping, and we're about to deal some fairly substantial damage down here. I threw axes at him. I wanted Zilla, but Zilla was... Oh, there is Impale. The attempted Impale. I feel like you want like an invisible caster that casts an Impale for you so you can't interrupt it like that. It always feels terrible. It would make it a more responsive spell in general. Just drop a deuce and then... Ah! Ricky died. I think at this time I had to go back to save top from itself. Finally max out Carrion Swarm. It's almost the end of the game. Take Brilliance Aura level 3. It's almost the end of the game. I knew wherever there was High Zealot, there was likely to be dogs. Huge chunk of my health just disappeared right away there. And another Infernal. I was like, yeah, this shit kind of hurts. I'm gonna run away now. But I had healing leveled up a little bit. Q showed up, so HKS got a little too far ahead and got murdered. And I knew High Zealot had nothing, so it's a matter of running him down and not dying to the dogs. Which thankfully, I was a little fatter now and had armor from the items, so the armor probably really makes the biggest difference grabbing those axes. With a little bit of health you have, the effective health is so much more when you've got, you know, 43% reductions, so it's a significant power boost for me at this point. Although you can tell I really wasn't happy with my mana regeneration. So as I started using healing, I just cut through it really fast. Meanwhile, their bottom lane is gonna be fucked from that push. There's just a lot of birds and shit in there, and Zilla's gonna do his darnest to smoke him out, but no hot box big enough for everyone down there. Kind of wanted the coin, but there you go, we got it through the fierce lag. I think High Zealot may have just given up on his army plans since he did replace Charm. Finally see Death Pact level 4. Meanwhile, there is a amount of coins that I found over here. And one of them got missed somehow. I'm not sure how that happened. The Frenchman has arrived. Who will accept the challenge of the French? Zola lies in wait. Now Ricky has mana shield, and he also has 2 surgical masks, which if we watch his mana, it is level 6. So be interesting to see how much they can deal damage to Ricky. Well, they didn't even break his shield. They didn't even get close to breaking his shield, but there wasn't much dedicated damage. I don't think they have mana burn other than dogs, to be honest. So I'm in the middle with Doug Boy, trying to keep him alive. It's very squishy. With my shitty ass healing, Ricky is too scared to pick up the coins. And he's back at full mana. As HK has said, and as I predicted, the mana shield with the mana changes will either be too strong or too weak, and he said he did nerf it a little bit already. So it's kind of hard to know, you know. We don't really have dedicated damage on Ricky from that group at the moment. Oh, here we go.
Our forces are under
Ricky
attack.
is very French. Oh. Oh. They need mana burn. If they had mana burn, they probably would have killed him. But I'm not sure what level of shockwave Zilla has. They did kill him. It took a little while. Yeah, I feel like if just either one of them had mana burn, it would have been not that bad, but I don't know. I guess we would see when it's maxed out, because it's definitely not maxed out. I don't like have like a knee jerk to that it's like, oh, mana shield's really strong, but it might be strong when it's fully leveled up. And if Ricky was sitting on the kind of items I was, and then swapped out the axes for surgical masks like what he has right now, right? Like a full int build with mana regen. She died. So I'm gonna speed this up here because we're getting pretty close to the end. In general, I did get, I believe I got the Depression Aura for the Alliance at this point. I think we have it. I kind of want to see who has it, if we do have it. I thought it was the tanks, but I could be wrong. I don't see it anyways. I may not have it at this stage. But I don't know if I don't think I bought Demolish. Because at the time I didn't have the money, I didn't think we really needed it, so. Yeah, if we I thought we had Depression Aura by now. Because I remember buying it, I'm sure I did. But I don't remember when. So the game was pretty balanced, actually. Just in general, like, it was awkward dying to the burn in the beginning when they're running through my base. Like, there was nothing I could do at all. Ricky did get level 10 mana shield. And Ricky ran down there and almost died to the Hydras on top of it. And then, of course, level 1 spellbook duel with High Zealot was just basically him getting perma-slowed. Other than that, this really wasn't too bad. None of us got stuck in a deficit. both teams had high points and low points. In general, it felt reasonably balanced. Their team really lacked killing power, though, right? Like, if you stood in the wards or got stunned by Thaloli in the wards or whatever and everything focused on you, you could definitely die, but there wasn't any of that ward focus going on that we had before with the wards. They were getting kills, I was netting kills with them. And HKS was able to get a couple of kills in with summons, but didn't really have the finesse to make the most out of them, whereas High Zealot was more of a supportive role with some damage. And Zilla was not really a supportive role, but didn't really have the damage either. Oh, fuck. Oh, my God. Mostly because Zilla has no items. Like, if Zilla had bought items, some mana regen, he would have done so much better, but he didn't. It's 3 fucking Infernals chasing Ricky, and I just ignored them. The Infernals are still chasing Ricky. So, yeah. Level 10 mana shield. I don't know what the numbers are, but the Infernals do deal up to 162 damage. You'd say like an average of 100. But see, the thing with mana shield that makes it stupid is evasion, right? That's when we really had a lot of problems with mana shields, when we had evasion. So I'd be hesitant to say it's too strong until there's Depression Aura. We didn't have it until now. And yes, it is the tanks that do have it. And Thaloli and High Zealot were able to kill Q. I'm hesitant to say Mana Shield is overly strong until I see it against dedicated builds with Mana Burn on it. Or a caster like me, like what I built. I will, however, attack Ricky later on in this map. Quite close to the end. And you can see I deal a lot of damage, and I have a God Orb for attack speed. I will be actually unable to penetrate his shield. He'll actually be able to out-regenerate it. And yeah, High Zealot didn't have much. So I'm kind of just wandering around being a cunt at this point. Just looking for kills, really, seeing if anyone wants to come out and play or not. Thaloli always wants to come out and play, but only until he has to run away. Meanwhile, Ricky is having a duel with Zilla. Zilla finally got a mana regeneration item. It is a little late. HKS died to the Alliance. Oh yeah, because the ward was blocking him. I was trying to kill him, but I couldn't click him. Doug Boy finally outduels Thaloli and murders him. Godzilla. So we don't have Demolish, I don't believe. And I'm not sure if it actually has any effect anyways. I lost vision on him. So I'm definitely really tired right now, but there is some stuff I wanted to show still. Ricky being chased. HKS got murdered by the minions, and I wasn't able to last hit him. This is going to be where I'm going to attack Ricky, I think. Everybody is after Ricky. Everybody wants Ricky. He's French. With his wang of negation. Well, they're definitely doing damage to him. I'm attacking. Now I'm attacking. My attacks are dealing. Man, yeah, that is a lot of regeneration, isn't it? He's got 3 masks and maxed out. Level 9 Brilliance Aura. So his regeneration is definitely like end game. He is negating a lot of my damage though, despite having only 2 armor. It kind of looks like I might have been able to go through it with the assistance of some minions, but considering how much damage I do, is kind of crazy. Hero is 100%. He is negating. It's almost as if my bonus damage doesn't exist against him. So he's negating at least half of the damage, maybe more, which is kind of crazy. But you know, throw in critical strike, right, and mana burn, and you will chew through it a lot faster, especially with Berserker or something like that. So again, I'm a little hesitant to say, hey, nerf this. So found a Zilla and an Infernal. Doug Boy finally lands Worst Stomp. Zilla died. HKS died. Got some dogs. They're lurking in the trees. Oh, no. If that had landed, we would have gotten a kill. Ricky is running up here to trying to murder the peasants, but there is no peasants. I was hoping to kill the peon as he came out, but there you go. That was, I casted it once, there was nothing there. I knew it was close to being finished. I just happened to catch it as he was running out. I saw the gold pop up. Managed to dodge the Infernal. That was Zilla's Infernal this time. Zilla appeared. There's a dog. Doug Boy died. There is a funny exchange at some point here, but I think it's right at the ball's end of this. Ishkis narrowly escapes. That lolly is there. I'm dropping shit on him, but of course that's where the fountain is. Move speed bonus. I'm still trying it though. So I got pretty close to dying there. There's 2 infernals on me. What if Loli's got infernal too? So I knew there was invisible dogs. I was waiting for them to pop up. HKS died to the AoE. Just run a little circle around Zilla here, heal up. So of course I'm tanky now. Managed to kill Zilla. Thought Loli is very thirsty, but I healed up again. And I throw a couple of axes at him. Oh, but that ward could have killed me. I think, yeah, he did point it at me, but not quite fast enough. It's close. But no cigar, my mate. They're over there killing the hydras. The enemy's fucking castle is burning down. Thought Loli bought some summons. Yeah, the summons get no upgrades. They should at least start at 3-3, I think. Or have their stats increased to be the equivalent of 3-3. Alright, so, yeah, fuck off. And our kills were... Oh, I flew ahead of Ricky really hard at the end. About 230-ish? 230-ish, let's say. Give or take. I can't into math. HKS is actually right up there with Ricky, and Q is not too far behind. North Style, this is only really surprising, right? It makes sense that I was high in unit kills because I was being more aggressive in the later half, and I was clearing more aggressively. But honestly, these 3 with Ricky having Carrion Shock and Shockwave, and apparently Fork Lightning, versus HKS with summons and then eventually wards. Thaw Loli with single target and then wards and then random AoEs. And then Q with cleave attack and Black Arrow, everybody being at different parts of the map all over the place. To see them be within like 100-ish of each other is really unusual. Isn't that maybe like the first time we have ever seen that? And I mean, even Zilla wasn't that far behind, given it didn't really seem like he could really just do anything in the map because he's always out of mana. It took him until the very end of the game to buy any mana regeneration at all. And High Zealot, who really... He had, of course, Chain Light, Holy Light and Chain Death Coil, but... Yeah, he wasn't really as aggressive in farming with him, I guess. Well, it was more mana hungry, too, right? And he kind of went like HP rather than mana regeneration, so... At the end of the game, Doug Boy managed to climb to 143 because he finally entered the lane again. We got heroes killed, and of course, towards the end of the game, I spiked over HKS since I was farming them inside their base. But HKS held the lead for most of the game, just people dying to wolves and birds. It's just kind of funny. But on our team, it was me and Q who was tied for reasons we've seen in several other iterations of these games where we have a team of predominantly ranged or casters. Someone on the enemy team ends up taking a tanky or melee who's able to chase them down. And only really thought Loli had CC in both groups, which is more of a rarity than what we usually see. So Q is able to chase him down just as easily anyways, going for early HP. So that was actually really quite interesting to see. Q have some success with that and being more aggressive in general as a result, not like sitting in lane farming with like blast apps or whatever. He was more aggressive and attacking their base and stuff. And yeah, so the lumber harvested really kind of tells you a lot about the kills in this game, where I climbed a lot towards the end, but HKS was the highest, followed by Q, because of course everybody has the same amount of lumber from the injections and the levels. Everybody reached level 20, but the extra lumber comes from the kills. So it's just another way of looking at the kills and what it turns into in terms of resources. You can see that they fed HKS a ton of money, more so than what we fed Ricky. But the creep score differences really make up for that because I only traded a small amount of my money. and Q traded an amount, but was still able to pretty much fill his inventory, whereas Zilla traded basically everything, and High Zilla traded an amount. That's a lot of money for Zilla to be trading, considering he wasn't very high on the creep score overall, right? Like, he should have at least tried to, at some point in the game, invest into mana regeneration, because mana regeneration would help him get more money. He could trade it more money in the end of the day, because he would have been able to cast spells more often, survive more, and get more kills as a result. At least more creep kills. So, I don't have too much to add on than that when I'm really this tired, but hopefully that game makes a good observational point to go from for just in general the health of the game right now. I think it's fairly reasonable at this stage.